What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 36 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Fay Enchantress Old World Classic campaign. So as we saw last time, an absolutely magnificent episode, if I say so myself, with Rapunz de Lyonesse getting the Sword of Lyonesse quest battle completed, with the Fay Enchantress and her Grail Guardians taking on the Blood Knights of Templehof, and lastly with, what was the third battle? Ah, yes, with Gentleman Jenkins and Chilfoy? No. Or was it Chilfoy? Yes, it was. And Chilfoy taking on each other in a very nice fight as well. No, it wasn't Chilfoy. It was Folkar. Yes, it was Folkar's army. I looked over here and I figured this was the remnants, and it is the remnants of Gentleman Jenkins, but since it was the end of the turn, he just moved really far away. Not far enough away to escape, however, as that will sure soon bite him. Anyway, we ended last episode off with effectively ending the turn, so we're in a brand new turn. I did the admin between the episodes to save the like 20 minutes of that, and we're good to go to continue onward and upward. Who are you, Sir John Tyreweld? I believe you were supposed to deliver something to somebody, but damn me if I remember who to what, or what to who. Go figure. Alrighty, well, let us do this. First of all, we're gonna move you inland. In fact, wait, you go here. We'll have Maximilian the Chasseur deliver some stuff, together with the Beastslayer Sebastian, towards Bowmen Beastslayer. Like so, and that will complete his army once they and the Friar have arrived. Lovely. Okay, and then you, sir, Gustav the Savior, you're a solid rank 16, so you can actually go command an army. I'm gonna send you to the hub to pick up some troops. I mean, while you're there, maybe I'll give you an exile army. A bunch of different units. We probably want a mix of sort of dwarfen and whatever other units we can get. Some guns, some not guns, some nice exile stuff. And it would make sense, I guess, for a crownless lord to lead them as well. Or a regular lord. But not a prophetess or a damsel, because that wouldn't work lore-wise. Anyway, what we are going to do is start at the top. Fay Enchantress, that's you. You can head out here. Looks like Templehof is pretty much broken. Yeah, well, being attacked by the Fay Enchantress and by Karl Franz and by Elspeth all at the same time was always going to be pretty ugly. And frankly,
by the comet.
I don't know where Karl's army is, but yeah, there it is. It's, I'd say, inferior to the army of Helmut Feuerbach, so that's another name of scary lords for the Templehof to add to their list. Anyway, oh, see, if we had moved you up, you would have been able to take this location, but unfortunately no, so we're gonna have to waste, like, nearly a full turn. Well, yeah, a full turn. But what can you do? You can auto-resolve it. Nah, you can still auto-resolve it. It's not like there's Blood Knights or good stuff there or anything like that. Alright, keep on. We have better stuff, especially... Ooh, I like how the trees are getting restored. Especially considering the fact that up north, Azag the Slaughterer has declared war upon the Empire, and the Kislev as well. And we'll need to deal with him. Next up, we got Bertrand the Brigand, who, if he really wanted to, could reach the Citadel of Blood, but that might not be what we want to do. I'm gonna have you, Tancred II de Quenelle, go here, and loot this carcass and auto-resolve it via the medium casualty. Alright, the auto-resolve is always going to hate this particular army, but it is what it is. Let's take the Scarecrow banner and put it on Kelah, or do we give them both banners of Eternal Flame? It doesn't really matter. Though then again, it is weapon strength, a bonus of +10 to the assigned unit, so we could get these guys hitting harder, or we could get the Grail Guardians hitting harder. I don't know. It doesn't really matter over much. I will think about it, and then if adjustments need to be made, we'll make those adjustments. You guys all have a banner. Oh, if we get 6 banners in this army, every single one of the companions could have a banner. I don't dislike that idea, just because. Alrighty, anyway, we will auto-resolve this because it's a waste of time. It will hurt us more than I'd like, but it is what it is. At the very... I really don't see how the battle pilgrims would have gotten this much damage to them, but sure, game, whatever. We will take the money. For now, we still need it, but probably not for too much longer. We are soon going... Oh, there's another island right here. I wonder if we can reach it. I think we'll be just out of range, and maybe that's a good thing because we can't land right now anyway. So you go here, and... What's the likelihood that this guy sails out of here and attacks us? I mean, if it happens, I suppose it happens. Anyway, what I'd like to do is this. You... They could come here to go after Mariam. I want to try this. We have not really gotten any ambushes out of Bertrand. I want to see if we can make one happen. Go here. We are immune to attrition for one more turn, so I feel like this is the time. Now let's do this. We'll put you here. Maybe these two armies will try to attack, only to get ambushed by Bertrand. Maybe. It will mean forgoing Lost Ericsson's Landing, which we could have taken and allowed Tancred to easily land, but, well, maybe it doesn't matter. Now, we could level these guys up, and we got... 1 point. I will get you Outlaw's Lullaby. Actually, all of you should have Outlaw's Lullaby. Up in strength, inviolable, survivalists, massive staff. Massive staff. Seems like the choice here. And vigor loss reduction for the army. That's always a nice thing to have. Let's do that. And we'll do you as well. How about... I mean, I guess we could get Onslaught, but it doesn't really matter that much in this particular army. Let's get Lady's Mantle, just in case. A, because it feels like it makes sense for a damsel to have, and B, well, you know, I might stop paying attention for a few seconds and then arrow fire suddenly. You can grab We Are the Elite into Retinue Trainer, which we wanted, and... I still don't know whether you're staying in this army. What I do know, though, is that I prefer to get Grail Banishment because it's such a strong effect, so we're not going to go share the feat in My Vow. I think My Vow is just not worth it. It's 30 seconds of a okay buff, melee attack and a defense +5. But consider something like Bolstered Command gives you a +3/+3 permanently in an aura for the entire battle, and certain factions have heroes that give Bolstered Command to every single hero in that particular army. I think Chaos is one of them, or Khorne is one of them, for example. So the real value of My Vow is then the 30% vigor that you recover. So for the cost of a 30% vigor recovery, basically once per battle, if you're lucky twice, you have to sacrifice a huge amount of damage and tank ability plus the amazing Grail Banishment effect. It's just not worth it. I feel like SFO should redo this, or maybe make this an aura rather than an augment. If this was an aura rather than an augment, then I would make, perhaps in some cases, the choice to take it, rather than all the massive buffs. But right now, it's basically, you know, hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby sort of situation. Anyway, quality feed. What else do we have? Yes, Curse of Anra here, always. Amazing spell. You can have Power Sap as well. What about Friar? And, oh, you have nothing. We have a spare Syrian's Locket, maybe? We do not. All the other Friars have Syrian's Locket. Sorry, buddy. I'll get you something at some point, maybe. I mean, we have a decent amount of items coming in, but not everybody's gonna get one. A Lady's Mantle and Impassioned. We have too many armies and heroes for everybody to get one. Ew, Tough as Nails for the Lord, and I'm gonna say Esteemed Combatant is quite useful, so we'll get that. Even over Foe Seeker, I think, because it will allow us to get to Retinue Trainer, but also if we get attacked, then the additional damage is always very nice to have. There you go. And then last but not least, Riolas, you can have Vigilant Elites, which allows you to get Rally, and soon Erimo's Code. We are not yet at rank 7, but, well, I'll get some value out of it, let's say. Anyway, let's hope that that works out. Who is next? René Denior, you are headed to Needling, I believe. Just because it's right there. And I think you can't cross to Krugenheim here, so most likely we'll have to leave that to the Fay Enchantress. This is... oh yeah, Gotrek, you can have this, buddy. Up to 45 speed now. He's still going to be faster than the Manling, even with the cursed armor. Huh, wait, what's giving him the bronze shield? Did he always have a bronze shield? I don't know. But anyway, at the very least he can accelerate and decelerate really quickly. It's funny. Anyway, auto-resolve. Yeah. Wow. Really? It's gonna kill 3 of one of the war wagons? Really? Really, game? That's what you... Yeah. Alright, occupy. And now, because 3 are dead, it can only recover 2 per sort of round of healing. Because it's a max of 50%, which tops out at 2 of the 4 models. Well, screw you too. Anyway, good attacker, audacious, scroll of leeching, and I guess you're headed... I was gonna have you fight some undead, but frankly, the Fay Enchantress kind of tore them apart so quickly that you haven't had the chance. I guess you're gonna go fight some orcs. At the very least, with all of this and all of this, Gotra can at least enjoy slaying some greenskins. That I think we can do. Melee and determine. Okay, wait, before I forget, you know what? I don't even care that's not in order. You go here. We'll take Calcmere. I just need to move these guys so I don't forget again, and we will have to fight this. It is first round against the Savage Orcs, and this army is a little bit on the weaker side. In fact, it is our weakest army. Lots of veteran troops, but that's by virtue of being punted out of other armies. So, yeah, kind of iffy there. We'll grab you Soulfire, which will come in handy here. No healer for 1 more level, so hopefully you can pick it up. And frankly, we may need to rely on magics against the Savage Orcs, but at the same time, since we have so many rank 7s, we should probably push towards, you know, getting some mileage out of them. Do we want to grab the Battle Pilgrim buff or the Men-at-Arm buff? Both are fine, I guess.
What is your behest?
In theory, we want both. This will give them armor and attack versus... I think the Worshippers of the Grail is just the better buff. So that's what we're taking. Yep. Alrighty. Away we go. And do we need to level you? Maybe we do, but I don't care. Go.
For our lady!
Alrighty, here we go. I've made it no secret that I love desert battles because everything is nice and visible like this, and I will be sure to enjoy this one. Though I do imagine it won't be too difficult of a fight, in part because, well, it's not a full stack, though again, the enemy does have the massive physical resistance of the Savage Orcs to rely upon, and that will certainly make it a little bit more difficult. We're going to start the battle off as usual by sending our flyers in, or flyer in, to bring down the tower. There's the second flyer. Bring down the enemy tower until all of our reinforcements make their way on the battlefield, and as soon as our archers arrive, we'll peel away and move to the other tower while we get ready to position everybody else. Now, in terms of how we're fighting this, on one side, we're going to send the Grail Knights, and that's it. And on the other side, literally all the other units. So we'll see how that goes. The Grail Knights we've seen fight a million times, but I suppose we could watch them whack away at the enemy for a little bit. Ooh, they're charging through the trolls, knocks all the trolls to the ground as well. Now do keep in mind that these are the Shock Cav Grail Knights with lances rather than the Grail Guardians. So they're going to be in a little bit more danger, but they're still perfectly happy, I'm sure, to just sit there and attack. Again, obviously, we could take advantage of the Grail Knights' ridiculousness and just have these guys ride through the enemy ranks over and over again, never stopping and doing hundreds of thousands of damage, but we're not going to do that this time. I want the units to feel like they're fighting a little bit more fairly, let's say. Even though perhaps the Duke of Carcassonne would disagree with me on allowing or fighting chivalrously against unchivalrous foes. But it's all about enjoying the battle. Anyway, our arrows rain down upon the enemy, fire arrows and pox arrows alike in this particular army, while the enemy's anti-large arrows are raining upon us as well. Though, luckily, with the Savage Orc Arrow Boys firing on the infantry, they're at least wasting some of that. We're going to send one unit in, the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis, to fight together with the Grail Guardians for a little bit. And they're going to move away once they get sufficiently damaged, which they most likely will in rather short order. And there is, by the looks of it, another enemy tower here. Also, once again, I love these guys' color scheme. Anyway. It's a big old-fashioned brawl here, knights versus boar boys, and, well, actually different mix of lots of different types of units. We are going to help them out, however, by dropping a Curse of the Midnight Wind and hoping that they can do a teensy bit more damage, while we peel away the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis as they have suffered enough damage to back off, while the Grail Knights, of course, continue fighting. And speaking of continuing fighting, same thing happening with our piles of battle pilgrims. Now being joined by the knights of various kinds, or, well, various kinds, actually all the same kind, they're all technically knights errant, but who are moving in to help out against the Savage Orcs, against the Savage Orc Boar Boys, against whatever you have. Now the arrows, in the meantime, though again, with the physical resistance it is taking a little bit of a while, are starting to bring down the Savage Orc Boys. Though frankly, with the massive physical resistance, it's, I don't know, I kind of appreciate it. In the sense that I like how it's not taking a single arrow to bring down each orc. And they'll get at least somewhat pin-cushioned. And they should be reasonably durable. After all, so it does make sense. But at the end of the day, they will back off. Alright, the bounce back has shifted to about an 85% in our favor, perhaps. So these guys still blobbed up, and it looks like the Boar Boys are actually working very much in their favor here, in the sense that it is preventing us from moving forward with our knights, and their mass is allowing this portion of the enemy to hold on for much longer. That said, what it is not preventing is our arrows from raining down upon them, so while we have ammunition, and that we still do, that will continue. Over on the other side, it's been, what, 7 minutes now? The Grail Knights have been fighting non-stop since the very start for 7 minutes in this brawl, slowly inching their way forward, although we do provide them some buffs to help out at this point, as they have started to take damage. Harmonic Convergence, Flesh to Stone, Nissan's Wild Form, lots of an increase in damage. They're up to 123 kills and 38k damage. And again, we easily could have simply backed them off, charged, or charged through, and whatever. I just felt like this would be more fun. Not because it's more efficient. But generally speaking, for those of you that have been around with my campaigns for a while, I generally like to play for rule of cool rather than for pure efficiency. It just gives you better cinematic shots. Anyway, and the same thing is often the case for the way that I would typically deploy armies, in the sense that being able to actually see the action takes priority over, efficiently engaging in too many flanking actions or separating the army into blobs of units all over different parts of the map, just because it's kind of hard to keep track in cinematics of those guys, because you can only look in one place. I guess in theory we could do like a mini picture-in-picture thing, but that would take so much editing I would die. Anyway, looks like we have at long last broken our way through the enemies, well, blocking off the piles of infantry, and one of our units, the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis in particular, moved towards another unit, a Savage Orc Error Boys. Now, the Error Boys may not have anti-large on their attacks, but they still have 48 melee attack and 52 weapon strength on top of that, 40% physical resistance, plus the Wa now buffing them up as well. Orc Error Boys of any kind absolutely not to be underestimated in melee, because they will do work, and here they have killed 8 of the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis so far. Especially now with 66 melee attack and 60-something weapon strength. And we're gonna pack these guys off lest they lose too many more of their number and heal them up a teensy bit. Finally, at long last, about 9 minutes in, the Grail Knights have withdrawn as they have reached their healing cap, and there's no need for them to start taking any further damage. Still a heroic brawl for them, fighting for 50,000 kills, just locked in combat for 9 minutes straight. That's what I like to see. Speaking of locked in combat, while some of our knights have managed to peel away, these guys are still very much in the fight, and now we're actually trying to get our knights out of the press so that the polearms and the battle pilgrims and whatever else we have here can actually attack the enemy instead of being blocked by the mass of the knights. This kind of reminds me of one of the major issues with the orc armies, generally speaking. Or not orc armies, ogre armies, rather. In that the units have a big tendency to block each other off. And every unit that's blocking another unit, it means that those units are not attacking at that time. They're just sitting there, keeping in mind that the same thing goes here. So you have your little front line attacking, but everybody else here is doing nothing whatsoever. And this is why, you know, flanking and all that is so important, because it's more surface area, more contact with units and things that can actually dish out damage. It's also probably a big part of why range remains the meta even in SFO, because even with range being significantly less damage dealing and melee units bucked up in SFO, range units are often, maybe not gun units, but range units are often attacking at all times. But I digress. The bounce power shifts about 95% in our favor. A little bit of enemies remains, but not that much. We've got a few polearms moving in to stop these guys in their tracks and allowing our range units to shoot them in the flanks as they're kept back by the polearms. Oh, actually, there we go. That wasn't a bad shot. I see many a fletching sticking out of our own men-at-arms, but what can you do? I guess they're just as durable as orcs, because that guy just had 3 arrows in him. Actually, it makes me wonder how many arrows it takes to kill off an individual model. We won't learn that this time, however, as with that, the Orky army shatters, and the battle is ours. A very nice fight. Certainly nicer than I was expecting it to be, but gotta chalk it up to all that lovely physical resistance of the savage orcs. Alrighty, a pretty decent fight and a very decent, I would say, showcase for the Grail Knights. I'm keeping in mind that these are not Grail Guardians, these are the Grail Knights, so the shock cavalry with lances rather than sword and board, meant a little bit more to be charging than the Grail Guardians, which are a little bit better at being, you know, tankier and stuck in. My point is, on one side of the map we had 19 units, and on the other side of the map we had just the Grail Knights by themselves, holding the enemy off. And granted, they did lose 3 of their number and reach their healing cab damn well, and did they hold off half of the enemy. That's pretty darn fantastic. Same with the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis. They took the most damage, but damn well did they do plenty of damage as well, beating out the Peasant Punchers and the Campagrottas Condottieri fairly well, but also by virtue of the fact that these guys were locked in, sort of helping the peasants, whereas the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis sought glory and charged through the enemy settlement instead, which explains why they got more damage. Lots of work out of the Fried French here, with 16k damage, beating out the other archers, and doing fairly well. Wait a moment. Well, actually, I guess it does make sense. I was wondering whether the fire arrows are doing better than the pox arrows, but in terms of base damage, they do technically have higher base damage. I think slightly lower armor piercing damage, unless I'm mistaken. Gotta double check on that. And, oh, another Book of Assure, go figure. And a Charmed Shield. I will probably put this to use, and another Relic Sword. These are useful for our... Royal Pegasus, sure. These are useful for our Faceless, Nameless, whatever. You can now go to Scabby Eye Camp. And out of curiosity, we have 4 armor-piercing missile damage on the pox arrows and 1 on the fire arrows, so I was correct on that.
The lady objects.
Go here. And encircle the... Hey, it won't kill everybody. Okay, well, we'll still leech, but...
We have met
go
before.
here. Wait. You go... There you go here.
Making my way.
Alrighty, and then...
Sorceress.
Do we want to get you out of here and channel? Yes. Do we want you to switch stances? We cannot. Do you want to switch stances? Yes, you can. Alright, do this, and then auto-resolve it. Yeah, we are looking like we're okay. Auto-resolve, we'll take a severe amount of damage. Really? The Grail Knights took damage? I don't think so, but certainly not half of their number. And Luan Diderot is now a legend as well. Good for Death Singer. Hello. Another regeneration. And this is base regeneration. Funnily enough, if we ignore, I mean, if we took back some of the items we gave to Gotrek, which give him Seed of Rebirth and Liquid Fortification, this is regular regeneration. That would be 3 different regeneration types, and I wonder, does the armor that I was saving for somebody with a hippogriff, which is Gilded Cuirass, okay, it's also a regular type of regeneration. I'm just wondering how many regeneration types we can stack on one unit. Granted, without something like the Chalice of Malfire, they just reach their healing caps, so it wouldn't matter over much, and the effective HP out of ward save is probably been more valuable than too many regeneration stacks, but anyway. I digress. Now let's see what we got here. Meline Dutourmar, you finally have your Pegasus Knights all leveled up. So 3 regulars, 1 royal, and then they're protecting a giant pile of peasants. Peasant archers. Oh, I was about to attack Hanging Rock. That's not what we want to do. Looks like we actually can't reach this place, meaning we'll just sit out here, I guess. I guess we could go into enemy territory. Yeah, go here. We can have my Villa Guardian in March stance, I guess. Move on in. Have her take Bog Creeper Camp and then move on to whichever. We need to take Flying Fortress back for Teclis as well. I don't know how you managed to lose a Flying Fortress, incidentally, to Orcs, but that's an impressive feat in and of itself there, Teclis. Losing a Flying Fortification to Orcs who don't really have that much of an air force, and certainly not one that can ferry significant numbers up there. Though I do imagine there's probably a way up. But anyway, admin, but, you know, choke points and all that. Admin don't need to move. Admin don't need to move. Oh, I didn't pick a tech. Okay, wait. Gustav the Savior and Cassillon de Caravans. Now, I was gonna send you to Norska, but now that these guys are at war with the Empire, I feel like maybe we should try to avoid them taking more Imperial territory than is necessary. And thusly, I'm gonna send you out to sea and maybe help out against the Orcs a little bit. Oh, you can pick up this this Mysterious Island since it's not a battle. We can even use you to pick up this island if we really wanted to. I mean, it's on the way.
Watch for dark sails.
And there's another island on the way. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to pick up the materials at sea before we get over there. Alrighty, looks good to me. That was Gustav the Savior. I was going to pick a tech. And the tech that I was going to pick, I believe, was Cobblestone Roads for the campaign movement range in our own territory. It's not... Oh, you know what we could also do? You know what? Let's go for Millennia of Service. Screw it. I think it's finally time to pick our capstone tech. We've been waiting. It's not something we need. It just makes our faction army ability a little bit more powerful, giving us a vigor, a regeneration, as well as whatever we have here. So the healing, the magical attack imbuement, and all that. But at the end of the day, it won't make too much difference, but I feel like, you know, since we're approaching the end of the campaign soon, we will want to have the capstone tech researched. Feels like that makes sense to me. Anyway, who else do we have here? Aurelius and... Okay, you guys are waiting for a... for that siege. You, Leonard... still out here, doing ship things. You were a ship army after all, ship shape as it were. We could maybe have you pick up an island and see what's going on the coastline of Norska. Maybe find some enemies. And I do believe there should be a second ship army somewhere here. You, Gaspard Lebeau.
My strength and wisdom are yours.
Yeah. Alrighty, you go this way.
Lord of Bretonnia.
Oh, so you reached rank 10. Did you reach rank 10? You were rank 10 a while ago, apparently. Which I guess is why you got the Royal Pegasus Knights, while you just got a couple of basic Pegasus Knights. Alright, fair enough. Let's go for Dukedom's Bond. And pick up... Ah, useless. I don't think we'll be fighting too many Dark Elves again. Rakarth is still alive. In fact, he's at war with Wulfric, but...
For a righteous cause.
He's kind of far and not somebody who's a threat, really, or somebody that we care about that much. Leo Armistead, you, I believe, are going this way. I don't want you to suffer attrition. Okay, wait, let's figure this out. You are going to kill off what remains of Gentleman Jenkins's army as your first thing. Like so. On a resolve.
Bretonnia will have victory.
No significant damage. Go execute captives for any future auto-resolves, like, for example, this little island here.
Paragon of virtue.
Paragon of virtue, you say. Paragon of punching people. I don't know why it amuses me so much. Anyway, explore the island. And what do we have here? Nothing worth our time. Let us execute some more captives.
Mercy has its limits.
Now we have several turns of this. Alright, and... still no materials. Let's see. Remas, you have siege attack. You can't reach it. If we have you pick up Remas next turn, we could leave Adelard to grab Pavona without having to go this way, though you'd still have to cross the river, which is a little bit annoying. But Remas is very poorly defended, so it sounds like you really need to actually fight them. Nonetheless, speed matters along a little bit. Is not a bad choice. Folcar, you... Oh, you're in range of Thantis Tor. The question is, do we want to attack it, or do we want to bypass it and go straight to Sartosa? Honestly, I feel like Sartosa should be left to Alberic, who is on the way, mind you. And is, in fact, very close. You know what? Yeah, Alberic, go here. Maybe Aranis herself will show up to defend there. Maybe. And then you... I wonder if you can land at Thantis Tor. Alright, Folcar, I guess we can't leave this here, so go here. Oh, there's a pasture at Lucchini. I like that. I like that very much. Do this. I'd like to give them a chance to sally out and fight us in the field. Again, this army still needs work, so why not? And then you can maybe land here. And Alberic, did you stop moving for a reason? Did I tell you to stop moving? Did Manan tell you to stop moving? Because that's the only thing that I would accept here. Go here, buddy. Alright, and looks like you're just out of range. I'm willing to bet that with the Green Knight's bonus of reinforcement range, you probably would have been in range, but alas. Oh well. Folcar, do we need to level you? You've got 2 points. That'll give you a rally. We have a couple of rank 7s in the form of the Questing Knights, though... Yeah, 12 armor, 5 melee defense. This includes the foot variant. Yeah, let's go for it. Why the heck not? Alrighty, well then, while we're here, we may as well level everybody else. That's a retinue valet. You two facelesses go for we are the elite into retinue trainer, and go figure we are the elite in... Huh? Oh, you are 1 point short, okay. Still need the retinue trainer to make these guys into flayers. Sons of Bretonnia. Fau's protection is this thing I like, therefore we're maxing it out most. And you have Fau's protection maxed out, so I guess we can now max out Earthblood. Harmonic Convergence is the other important thing, and Viable is not worth 3 points. We'll go through that. Alright, looks like you're a good buddy. And when I did that, I took everything out of order, didn't I? I think Leo Armistead was the next one to move. I guess we could send him to Porta Major. You know what, go into March Stance, there is no military presence here, and frankly, even if somebody hits you, I think you'll be okay. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks here fighting fighting Sartosa. Granted, they used to be a very powerful faction, so it does make sense, and they're kind of on the way to, you know, the Badlands. Technically, it'll be 5 stacks because Alberic is not staying here. He just wanted to maybe defeat Aranessa. And then move back up north or south or wherever it is we sent him through the sea lanes. If anybody's going to travel through the sea lanes. Anyway, let us level you up just in case. I don't like the fact that you're in March Stance beside a port, so you could, in theory, get attacked, and, well, why risk more damage than we'd like? Curse of Anric here, please. And then you want to max out Healer. We have Light of the Lady. Let's grab you. Fanaticism, Righteous Fury. You two. Rank 19. Pretty solid. Now, does this army need the charge bonus? I mean, it could actually use it. We're not at rank 7 yet, but eventually. First, however, I think we'll go for Outlaw's Lullaby, just because it gives these guys significant buffs in terms of their traits. Otherwise, they're a little bit fragile. In fact, they're a little bit fragile, but anyway. You were going through Outlaw's Melody, so let's get the other point in it. And Highwayman is buffing on this. They're nowhere near rank 7, which is why we haven't been going through the red line. Though, admittedly, we could still use Stand Your Ground. Buff that up together with Tactician Stand Your Ground. You got a lot of uptime on the extra melee defense. Maybe we start going through it, even if it buffs nobody here. I am going to go with, since it doesn't really matter, in a pinch, in an emergency, I guess we'd put in a couple of range units from this line, most likely. Or possibly a Grail Relic, but, well, actually, maybe not. Not with the Brigands. Alright, fine, just go with Vigilant Elites. This is a Brigand army, after all. Anyway, that was Leo Armistead. Let's see who's next on the list. Or Dewa. Wait, no, that's wrong faction. Anyway, a response. You are going, I believe, to the Sour Sea. I know there's undead over there. I know you like that sort of thing, or killing that sort of thing. Go. And then Esme, you are following Response into the breach. And Matahari, I believe, is going to follow Franciscus, so we'll wait for that. Response sets sail to the Sour Sea, to Nagashazar. Esme, follow the Saint. Alright, good. Then, you are not able to move this turn. Oh well. Let's name some peasant mobs. Let's see, I think maybe this is the last round of names that I'll do for this campaign. Alright, the filthy peasants. It's been a while since we got additional peasant mobs, so I still have a lot of peasant mob names left over. Hammers and sickles. Did I say Hamels or hammers? No, hammers. Okay. You are going to be Jacquerie Puckery, like so. There we go. I think I got that right. And if I did not, that's life. And you can be Carpentry Company. Let's see if all y'all survive. Alright, looks good to me. And that was Response. And now I have to find her in the list again. But we can't click her, so we gotta go past her. Alright, Theodric de Brienne. Again, I'm most likely going to remove the Hawk Riders out of this army, but they're here sort of temporarily, because we just kind of threw this army together.
Bretonnia will have victory.
Also ridiculously expensive, but I wanted Franciscus the Savior to have them, or Franciscus the Legend, or whatever Franciscus is calling himself these days. Theodric, you're gonna besiege this. This is the last territory of these guys. I would like you to get basic training, and if nothing else, you're definitely keeping the questing knights. I don't remember why I got them dismount. Oh, I think it's just because if we end up besieging something and we need siege towers, then yeah, alright, fine, fair enough. And that light, I guess we'll grab Glorfiniel's progeny for the foot knights. And then these, right, the Royal Pegasus Knights and the regular Pegasus Knights are both out of Guardians of the Lady, so we'll start going through that as well. Alright.
My service is duly rewarded.
Yeah. And then the Mounted Yeomen are here just because, well, like, to fill out the army, basically. And I would also want to replace the Hawk Riders over time with piles of the Fleet-footed, was it? I swear there was one here somewhere. Yeah, you. Fleet-footed Friars. Yeah. Because they're the only ones that'll be able to keep up with this, Plus I find the idea very funny. Anyway, Theodric, who's up next after you, buddy? You are at sea still. Armand Decotain is waiting. Chauffoy the Devoted and Beaumont Beringer is still waiting as well. Ocean Michaud, you are still waiting as well. For troops, Beaumont Beastslayer. Oh! I did not move you? Oh, I didn't move either of you. Oh, I guess that was last turn. Alright, oh, you're headed for Pavona then. And Beaumont, you are headed for Skisezi.
What is your behest?
Autoresolve. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I guess it does make sense that it's not hurting the artillery. I want to find an actual fight for this army. Another holy icon, eh? It would be nice to find a fight. I want to see those engines of war in action. At the very least, they're still picking up XP, so that's not a bad thing. Beaumont, same thing for you, buddy. Auto-resolve. Then we'll start running into these guys' armies. At least I assume soon. We shall see. Also, we will not need you. We will need you, and I believe that's it. Also, yeah. Okay, so that was Beaumont. Who is next in the list? Next in the list. Alright. Mariam D'Outremer, you are waiting. I don't think anybody here can reach you. At the very least, I really hope that this guy can't reach you. I can't tell. I'd like you to not die, if at all possible, but we'll see. You know what, just in case, Let's level these two up. They are going to be in Bertrand's army. Let's do this to buff up his guys as much as possible. The only reason that he didn't have them in his army for now is because, well, all the other armies kind of needed them. Not these specific guys, but the,
You honor me.
these fellas in general. The Faceless. I keep... every time. I keep forgetting. Faceless, Nameless, Crownless, whatever. I think none of them are nameless, but well, I've started calling him that. Anyway, Sir John, you're supposed to deliver something to somebody, but I'll deal with it between the episodes most likely, because I currently don't remember, and I don't want to figure things out right now. You need to land here, I guess, in Trestle. Oh, you can immediately attack Trestle. That'd be great. I don't see anybody around. Oh, don't tell me you're just out of range. You are just in range. That's what I like to see there, buddy. Rampager Standard. And the Gleaming Pennant. Put it on the central mounted human archers. Why not? Right, this obviously is auto-resolvable, though I do want to check something. So Strovengard will be a fight, because it's a tier 5 settlement, and I just want to see if there's military presence here. I don't see any. What's your strength rank at? How well are you doing against Recurve? Judging by this, they probably have somewhere in the realm of 5 armies, maybe? And they're probably taking their sweet time moving from Recurve, though Wulfric has 38 settlements. He has probably this much of Norska, almost all of it. Or at the very least, almost all of this portion. Yeah, you can see the yellow territory, so he has all of this. And I think Recurve is just here. Wow. It's quite impressive. And he's strength rank 7, too. Good job, Wulfric. One army is not going to cut it up here. And I think that's certain, but anyway, I'll resolve this. Alright, and we're also not keeping any of this, so just don't collect the income. We'll give it to the, well, I guess the Kislevites. It's all frozen territory. They like that sort of thing. Anyway, let's see. That was Hagen de Gisoro. Who's next? All the way down here somewhere. Hagen? Give me a hug. Where are you? It's probably again, but anyway. Let's see. Well, do it again. No, the devoted. Did I... Oh, right. You were waiting for this fella, but for next turn. Damn, alright, fine, fair enough. You'll be ready to move next turn, though, so that's nice. Jasper Archambault, you're waiting for troops that are currently being delivered, and I do believe that's it. Minus Raymond Mohéan, who I think was supposed to join one of these armies, which is fine as well. Lovely. Let's check diplomacy, because I haven't done it in a while. Spirit of the Jungle, nearly non-aggression pact. Rockskull's still kicking, but they're fighting Clan Angren, so probably not for too much longer. Monte Castello, Pavona, military alliances we can ignore, and parts of Sartosa really want peace. And again, they also had a ton of territory, so good for them. Anyway, we are besieging places. Did I build siege equipment here? I have a bad habit of not building siege equipment and then, you know, going all shocked Pikachu when they don't sally out, and then I don't have any equipment, and then it's sad and alarming. Anyway, skip, and turn. Alrighty. Now, we should get some Jerkos sallying out against us. Aecold Hellbrass. Thank you for showing what Aecold Hellbrass is doing, game. I would never have... I would have wondered, you know. Military Alliance, 10k. What if 10k is the max? I always seem to offer 10k. Maybe that's the most that the AI is generally willing to offer, no matter how much money they have. I do wonder how much money the AI currently has. I wish I could see their coffers, just out of curiosity. Alright, parts of Sartosa. Here you go. They will indeed sally out against Folkja. His men need XP, so I'm happy to see it. Depth Guard. They are kind of the bane of this type of army. We're just going to have to make sure that either the Questing Knights or Folkja himself are there to deal with them. The rotting Promethean gunnery mobs are extremely scary, but the scariest thing in this entire army is going to be the Deck Dropper Bombers. We have no anti-air here, and... the mages that we have no damaging spells, because they're Lost Sons. The only way we can even damage or hope to damage these bombers is to use the Faceless. And they don't do a lot of damage. That's actually... It's actually fairly scary. Even a single unit of bombers can do absurd amounts of damage. We've seen a single volley from a bomber unit take half HP from one of these guys, but we're just gonna have to see what we can do. Yep.
Soon we will feast as scribes begin the tale of our glorious victory!
Alrighty, here we go. I kind of didn't expect Volcac to be so pirate killy or seagoing originally, starting this particular, well, I mean not campaign, but just basically originally, and just because, I know, he's a mountainous guy, but we sent him out to sea, and this is kind of Alberic's domain and whatnot, but anyway, or, well, there's Longyi too, but we don't have Longyi anyway. What I am saying is he's been fighting a lot of pirates. Unfortunately for him, the mountains were effectively clear by the time that we got him on field, so, well, it's not like he could head out there, and admittedly the brigands took care of a lot of the mountain stuff. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off with our only anti-air units going after those deck dropper bombers, as they are a devastating unit to have around piles of fragile low armored infantry. Even a single one of these could probably delete half our army with no problem, and this is kind of the issue of potentially not having any anti-air. We could, I suppose, put a paladin on a Pegasus in this army if we really wanted to, just to have it, but I don't know what I'd remove from this army to do that. I guess we could reduce the number of maces by 1, but at the same time, having enemies that are dangerous against this specific composition isn't really a bad thing, in my opinion. It's one of the reasons I really love to sort of screw around with thematic and different armies all the time, playing this whole rock, paper, scissors game, because sometimes you run into armies that are going to be very, very good against yours, and that's really fun. Anyway, I digress. We are starting to move towards the enemy army with the Knights of the Realm in the lead. They're going to take a few volleys from the enemy as well, unsurprisingly. We're going to try to buff them up with the Pause Protection. Not so much for the melee defense, but for the damage resistance as they keep charging, since we don't have something to heal them up. Although a Shield of Thorns would have obviously been the superior pick here, the damage resistance and all that should allow them to be in the fight for a while the rest of our army, or at the very least the Men-at-Arms and Knightly portion of our army, will close the distance. Wow, even the Foot Knights, the Questing Knights on foot, take a fair bit of damage, losing about 20% of their HP to a volley, a single volley from the bombers, before we close the distance. Here, though, and that's a big fryer. Here, though, the Questing Knights with their great weapons will face off against Depth Guard, but with, of course, Volcac in the lead, he's going to apply some armor sundering to them with his big old mace, and probably knock down individual vampires, thralls as well here. Ooh, I love the mortar shells exploding all around. If you're wondering why there are mortar shells still exploding all around, we Vanguard deployed in the woods a bunch of our brigands who are moving to hit the enemy in the back and flanks. They do still have to get there, however, as while they're reasonably quick at 40%, 40 movement speed, not quite fast enough to close the distance as fast as a unit of cavalry or something, so. And some pretty decent use of out of our Foot Knights in those armies that we've been using them. And again, I've been playing around with them in such a way that we can avoid desyncs, and looks like so far it's working. Although I don't want to jinx it. And I do enjoy watching them do their thing as well, as they are pretty darn strong infantrymen. 93 weapon strength, 72, 75 melee attack and defense, 116 armor. And they're going to be difficult for these guys to fight, to be sure. And I think the Depth Guard have learned that to their sorrow, as the Depth Guard unit has been defeated and the zombie pirate deckhand mobs are about to follow suit. In the meantime, our brigands are closing the distance, smashing into the rear lines of the enemy. The deck droppers, I believe, have been now destroyed by our two faceless. Granted, they took 4 minutes about to do so, but at the end of the day, they achieved what we wanted. Now, the fancy-looking flayers. Again, I felt a little bit too fancy looking for our brigands. Our unit, I felt, would work actually nicely with our men-at-arms, because if you told me these guys with their, with all of their kit are actually, you know, men-at-arms or rangers or whatever, of the Bretonnians, rather than a bunch of random brigands, I would probably agree with you. They're clean, everything is well kept, their gauntlets have fancy designs on them and everything. They're a lot more fancy than men-at-arms are, which is certainly a choice. Now, the guys that are, these guys that just have like a gambeson and all that, feel a little bit more appropriate. No cape. Yeah. Honestly, if you made like a hero or a lord look like that, or a captain unit for them, it would make more sense. But anyway, they still look pretty darn good together with our men-at-arms units. As a sort of anti-infantry specialist, especially since our own anti-infantry specialist would be the regular men-at-arms with either sword and no shield or sword and shield are pretty terrible. And I would pretty much never build them. In fact, past the first couple of episodes, we never got any more of them because there's no point to them. Past the very early game, you'd be wanting to use men-at-arms with maces, or men-at-arms with polearms, or men-at-arms with spears. And there's really no point in the basic sword and board ones. The maces have armor piercing to actually deal with any enemy infantry that aren't that are more heavily armored than a basic unit of men-at-arms can take, and those men-at-arms and those units that aren't super heavily armored, you're just going to use a battle pilgrim instead, because it has a much higher weapon strength, but is still a sword and board unit, just like the men-at-arms with, well, sword and board. So for the anti-infantry specialist purposes, it feels like the brigands with twin blades and or the flayers work very nicely for that particular purpose. See, look how happy this guy is. He has a purpose in life. Anyway. Alrighty, there we go. Once again, some solid full carding, and I do believe... Oh, actually, no. I was hoping that these guys would have leveled up off of that, considering they got plenty of work by hitting the enemy in the back line, but alas, by the looks of it, not yet. They'll get there, though. Our two faceless were able to, over a long time, knock those deck droppers, or drop the deck droppers, but yeah, it took them absolute ages to deliver significant damage to them. And especially since deck droppers are one of the, you know, ultra fragile units in the game. But anyway, we did good work. We Are the Macemen got not a lot of damage compared to the unnamed unit, but this one unnamed unit got more than all of the other mace units put together. Good for them. The flayers basically doubled the damage of most of the regular brigands, although one of them did a solid 14k. Questing knights 18 and 12. Actually fairly solid considering they were foot knights again and fighting in melee. Good for them. Anyway, we will occupy the place. I don't even really care about this place since it's an ocean location, but I guess it does have a trade good, so there's something. And it's not like we can leave them there either way.
Men of the Empire, what brings you here?
Yes, what does bring you here? We got life and death. Anyway, join war against the man-eaters. Oh, I once again forgot to buy ogres, but it looks like we're okay. Golgi's back too. Well, as long as he's not fighting us, not really our problem. I'd really just prefer to have more ogre mercenaries available to us when needed. Frankly, there are plenty of them, well, maybe not plenty, but there are Imperial ogre mercenaries as well, so I don't know, I guess maybe use some yourselves. Anyway, military access. No, at least not right now. We may want to get the military access with Angrand eventually, but again, I feel like unnecessarily anger. Where did WURRZAG come from? Oh no. This is not good. I don't even remember where this was. Oh, right, we were sort of waiting... Ah. And we can't retreat because you're in march stance. Uh-oh. This is a concern. And that's a pretty ridiculous army. That's a lot of savage giants and bone clubbers as well. They got the disrupted ability. Oh, wow. This is not looking so good for Meline Dutremere. Let's see if she can survive. They also got a Colossal Squig, a Rogue Idol, a bunch of Trolls. Looking iffy. Looking very iffy. Let's see what we can do. Alrighty, here we go. I mean, I was expecting we'd be fighting WURRZAG eventually, but fighting WURRZAG here, maybe not so much. This was way too sudden. And at the same time, the fact that he has base— oh wow, does about 30% HP damage, only 10% spell resistance. Should have gotten the Aura of the Lady, I guess. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, the fact that he has 6 single entity monsters, 4 giants, a rogue idol, and a colossal squig on top of the lords and heroes. Yes, he basically has a half stack of nothing but big single entities. And that is not good. That is not good at all for the type of army that we have coming in to actually fight him. Now, speaking of how we're going to attempt to fight this, though we may need to withdraw if we get overrun, as I'd say there's like an 80% likelihood of that happening. The way that we're going to fight this is we've moved our reinforcement thing over to here on top of this plateau. Now, the nice thing about this is there's a very narrow pathway here, wherein if we send our Friar together with our Pegasus Knights here, we can potentially block off most of the enemy army, and they'd have to get around this cliffside to get at the other side. Plus, the elevated position will be nice for our artillery and our range units to fire down upon the enemy. In the meantime, of course, WURRZAG is launching gazes of Mork at Maeva la Gardienne. I was hoping to either hide her behind the hills or behind these little... damn, that's accurate. Behind the orcish effigies here, but alas, it didn't quite work, and she's down to like 20% of her HP, so we're going to keep her on the ground below and try to run her towards the newly arriving Damsel of Life to heal her up real quick. In the meantime, as soon as our range units, or our, well, I mean, most of them are range units, yes, as soon as our reinforcements make their way onto the battlefield, it is time for the enemy to move towards our army and for the battle to begin. The closest units are definitely going to be the target here, since we're an almost all-ranged army. And this is not the kind of ranged army like the Brigand armies, which can actually fight in melee combat decently well. If anything reaches the peasant line of Bowmen, they'll just get crushed. And therefore, we just have to do our best to keep them away from us. Fortunately, with 4 artillery pieces, at the very least, the enemy infantry are going to have a pretty bad time moving up this narrow choke point. I think we chose fairly well in terms of specifically this location. We try to focus down the single entities. The Colossal Squig is nearly out of the picture, and we're going to move our Friar to block off the Mangler Squigs, just so that they don't reach it. Fortunately, the Colossal Squig is already pretty much done, and we don't have to worry about it. And I just don't want the Manglers exploding in our lines of peasants. With the Colossal Squig routing, we're going to switch from attacking him and instead target the first of the enemy giants, though we will split off some of our units to target the trolls as well, as they can close the distance pretty darn quickly. If you're wondering why the units of Pegasus Riders have not yet committed themselves, it's because of those gazes of Mork coming in from WURRZAG. Since we don't have we don't really have an easy way to deal with him as yet, I decided to allow him to hit the prophetesses with the gazes of Mork, and kept the knights back so that they weren't the ones targeted by it, because we don't want to be losing models. Anyway, our Friar moves to block off a unit of trolls while the giant gets just gets obliterated by range fire, unsurprisingly, and frankly the trolls do as well, while we continue our artillery fire on the units down below and hit them with the occasional spell as well. Alright, it's time for our Pegasus Knights to move, as enemies, including Bone Clubbers and Savage Orc Boar Boys, are starting to get around the flanks. We're going to move our single unit of Royal Pegasus Knights with their anti-large, the Knights of the Algorithm, to quickly annihilate this unit of Boar Boys. And with the unit of Pegasus Knights, regular Pegasus Knights, crashing into their rear, they will probably shatter rather soon. and we'll be able to move our regular Pegasus Knights away. In the meantime, the Green Knight has arrived as the time has elapsed. I suppose that's one of the good things in moving our reinforcements, because it increased the time in which they got onto the battlefield, which allowed more time for the Green Knight to actually be summoned. He nearly kills WURRZAG, dishing out about 50%, 60% damage to him, but WURRZAG counters it by getting the giant to move in and block the Green Knight. I see this and I start moving towards WURRZAG again, but as soon as we do, WURRZAG hits the Green Knight with the effigy of the Git, basically a complete counter to any ethereal unit, as it removes all of the physical and damage resistances that it has, meaning that the usually relatively low HP ethereal units take all the damage. Not so great as the Savage Giant starts delivering massive blows to the Green Knight. In the meantime, out here, finally the vast hordes of enemy monsters have arrived and have started to crash into our lines of peasants, which means the Pegasus Knights have come down as well. We do manage to focus down the Rogue Idol, which luckily does not have as much physical resistance or missile resistance as the enemy does, or physical resistance as the Giants do. And it looks like the Knights of the Algorithm, Royal Pegasus Knights, managed to see off the stone trolls and the giant, all the while fighting Bone Club of Savage Orcs, while the rest of our range units focus down the big boys. The Green Knight survives, but we had to waste a regrowth on him, which I've never done in this entire campaign before, as the effigy of Degit would have killed him. And instead is now able to move to WURRZAG once again and will probably take his head. With WURRZAG shattering, it looks like the rest of his army has realized that it has little hope of carrying this. A Black Orc Big Boss leads one last unit of Savage Orcs into the fight, but it looks like they won't be getting past our Pegasus Knights, who do once again have the great benefit of being able to reposition themselves so quick. Not only are they flying, but they're ridiculously speedy with 164 move speed. Between that and the terrain being to our advantage here, we were able to carry the day. It was very, very dicey going in, so I'm glad we managed to pull this one off, and WURRZAG, interestingly, came the closest by far of any lord or hero or enemy throughout the campaign of killing the Green Knight. Granted, it wouldn't have mattered, as obviously the Green Knight would just come back. But nonetheless, and definitely credit where it's due. Ooh, there we go. It was a heroic victory, and it looks like we got no, or very comparatively little damage, but it was actually extraordinarily close. Again, keep in mind that if the enemy had actually properly reached our battle lines, they were doomed. The peasants and the artillery, the peasant archers and the artillery were not going to stand up to really any of this, plus this army just randomly appearing out of nowhere. I've said it before many a times last time I played orcs, but nobody expects the Orcish Inquisition. WURRZAG certainly suddenly showed up, and he almost defeated the Green Knight. Now the Green Knight rapidly took like 3/4 of his HP in like a couple of swings of his sword, but then bam, WURRZAG hits him with the effigy of Degit, stopping the Green Knight in his tracks, removing all of his resistances, and then sending a giant to nearly kill him. We actually had to waste a overcast regrowth to heal the Green Knight up, because he was down to like 15% of his HP off of that combo. Absolutely fantastic work out of WURRZAG there, plus all of the Gaze of Mork spams nearly killing off Maeve Le Gardien here. Overall, a very nice fight. The Knights of the Algorithm, of course, proved themselves very valuable as usual, taking out a unit of boar boys that was attempting to move around us, and then moving to essentially block off whatever enemies were close to reaching us. They're basically the only unit in this entire army that can do that. We also did use the Friar for it a little bit to block off one unit of squigs and one unit of stone trolls, but the Friar is comparatively very fragile. A very nice fight, and great work out of the launching Lancers and the Star Chasers, though funnily enough, one of the rare situations where the both of the named units lost to the unnamed unit. Tusk, tusk, tusk. Anyway, ooh, right. This is the army with the named artillery pieces, and by the looks of it, with 14k, it's tree bucket, but slightly more damage delta's gold value on throwing stones, man. Honestly, if it wasn't for the terrain sort of forcing the enemy into that narrow choke point while we had the elevation advantage, probably could have gone much worse for us. Granted, we picked that terrain because we moved our reinforcements there specifically so that we can take up position, but nonetheless, yeah. 5,000 treasury exactly for this. Is that the maximum amount? Because it's pretty good. I'll certainly take it. Yeah. Very, very nice fight. And it looks like on top of that, the Ironclaw Orcs and their very last army will sally out against Theodoric de Brienne, and we will fight this. It will apparently be a Pyrrhic victory. I feel like that's not the case here, but I guess we're gonna find out. Go.
Today, the lance will end what they fully began.
Alrighty, here we go. Folcar, similar, or not Folcar, Mr. Theodoric, similar to Cassillon, does look pretty good with his unique Royal Pegasus here. And I'm expecting an interesting fight here. Half of our army is made up of Wood Elf units, so they have no red line buffs or technologies to rely upon. And on top of that, we have no heroes, no mage, so no healing and no magics to rely upon. No buffs from the mages to help out units that are getting severely damaged, while the enemy does have magics of their own to rely upon. And no bonuses from the skill lines of the whichever heroes we put in. Should make for a decent time, I'd wager. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off by hitting the enemy from various sides. To the best of our ability, at any rate. Our units of questing knights will charge on in first, followed by the Wood Elf Azure Spears. We'll fight together with them thanks to the fact that with their ability they can run just as fast as knights. But we do still have to be careful here. Over on the flanks, we will nip away at the enemy's fragile and isolated units, having the Hawk Riders pincushion any single entities with their range attacks, and then any enemy error boys or such, we will move the Hawk Riders into the melee. They are very, very strong units in melee and will dish out a lot of damage. They are glass cannons, but against enemy error boys and such, this is a good use of them. Plus, we have the mounted yeomen helping them out, and again, nipping away at the enemy flanks. It looks like several of the enemy range units are destroyed, and at that point we will be able to lift off and once again continue the pin cushioning of critical targets. Turned out to be a rather distributed battle, but by necessity, as once again we had to do our best to envelop the enemy army. Unlike our usual armies, while we don't have the addition of the extra heroes and stuff, no Grail relics, no heroes, no single entities, basically. It does mean that we have a lot more units to play around with on the field at the same time. Which does give us a greater ability to both envelop the enemy army and then hit them from various directions at once. Looks like a unit of Azure Spears have surrounded an enemy Black Orc Big Boss here, who is down to about half of his HP and is probably not having a great time against the armor-piercing units here. 72 armor-piercing damage. Extremely solid on a unit of 40. And armor sundering as well. They quickly surround and defeat the enemy lord. That said, not everything is going their way. Whereas they can kill off a single entity easily like this, here the War Dancers with Azure Spears got stuck fighting 2 units of Black Orcs and some Biggins, and got dropped to about 15% of their HP and are now going to do their best to back off, while we move to help them with Pegasus Knights and with Questing Knights. Though admittedly several of the Questing Knights have suffered severe damage as well. We can see these guys are down to like 20% of their HP. But the battle is starting to turn in our favor, and we're at about 75% of the way there. The mounted yeomen are moving in to help wheresoever they can, partly by necessity. As again, other units are damaged. And ooh, I like that particular banner that one of these questing knights have. I like him a lot. Actually, very 40k-esque on these things. And with all the fleur-de-lis symbols, this would be great for Sisters of Battle sort of thing. Just change some of the text stuff to a little bit more in the way of like purity seals and stuff. But anyway, looks like with that the enemy army shatters and the battle is ours. Oh, I can't wait to see the Fashion Hammer aspect of the Total War 40k game. Should be pretty interesting as well. Not that these orcs will find out, as they will be long dead by then. Ooh, alrighty. A rather nice fight. And a surprisingly nice fight. A Pyrrhic victory for Theodoric de Briand's debut. And I think it's battles like that sort of remind me not to underestimate or not to take for granted having heroes in the army, because we normally have auras and buffs and abilities that we can use in emergencies. We have spells, etc., 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 that we don't have here at all, as this was just a bunch of units quickly thrown together due to wars, and thusly, the entire army, by virtue of it, is a lot more fragile. Plus, with 8, well, obviously, no red line buffs, and 8, nearly half of the army being made up of Wood Elven units who don't benefit from our technologies or our red line buffs, they're going to be a lot weaker than either our units or their own units should be. Not weak, mind you, because this is War Dancers with Azrae Spears and Hawk Riders, both of which are fantastic units, but certainly much more fragile and weaker than they could be. And, yeah. I really enjoyed that. Plus, Theodoric looks fantastic. Once again, just like Volcaire, the black and white color scheme, it just works very well. Plus, I really like the Royal Pegasus with the brown fur and feathers there. It looks quite nice and certainly stands out from the regular Royal Pegasus Knights. A very nice fight. Let's see how we did, though. 21k on the best performing War Dancers, 20, 36, 37 nearly k, 39k, 40k, Warhammer 40k on the best performing Questing Knights. Yeah. Questing Knights dishing out double the damage of a unit of War Dancers with Azrae Spears. Solid work out of the Mounted Yeomen, but they were mostly chasing down units that were already damaged or otherwise going after Error Boys, and thusly obviously not contributing in the same kind of manner. 22k even on both of the regular Pegasus Knights, and then 40k, again Warhammer 40k, on the Royal Pegasus Knights, and about 20k, 24k on the best performing Hawk Riders. Interesting. Yeah, so we got the 20k on the best performing both types of Wood Elf units, and 40k on the best performing Bretonnian type units, which again makes sense with the Tex and Red Line buffs and buffing them up. Very, very nice. Plus, the Royal Pegasus Knights is a tier 5 unit, and then I think the War Dancers are a tier 3, and the Hawk Riders are either tier 3 or 4, I don't remember. But yeah. A very fun fight. I really enjoyed the army, and we were able to chase everybody down and destroy them. Good. Occupy, which should destroy the Ironclaw works for good. Unless I'm mistaken. Wait, we had another province besieged other than Thantis, Tor, and Grunberg? What was the other siege? I don't remember.
Dark are these times.
Okay, wait, please. Oh! No, it wasn't the Fay Enchantress. Well, then I don't know. Something I forgot, apparently. What do you want, buddy? Military alliance? Nope. Wherever it was that we were besieging. Oh, I wonder if Bellicor... Ah, the ambush got foiled, or he didn't fall for it. Or his little minion didn't. Trait gained. Strength through pain. Gain unit experience at the cost of moving this turn, or keep moving. I mean, honestly, 2000 XP is, at this point, I think not that much. No delays. Alright. Good defender, great green killer, charge bonus. Oh, wow. That would be good on any other army than that army. Or actually, Maeva doesn't even have an army, but just generally speaking. Orcsbane, Agriculturalist, Crown of Command, Hedge Wizard, Crown of Command, Spy in Court. Oh, that's because we never reached there before. Oh, wow. Allegiance points gained for alliances with all the Order-Tide factions. See, if we had had this earlier, we may not have had to have gone for the mod that gave us additional allegiance with units, because this is quite nice. Enemy hero succession action success chance -20% for all provinces? That's kind of insane. Huh, go figure. But it did take a while because we could never get there until we, you know, fought through everybody. Ooh, another glittering scales. Yes, please. Alrighty, and Margot, you got the Royal Pegasus, a armor of silver steel from Meline du Tomer. Huh, finally. Wow, that's perfect. I've been giving armors of silver steel specifically to the Prophetess Lords, and I just thought it just did it itself. Good job. No Lichman Pennant for you. We'll give it to somebody, and I assume that you have a regular hippogriff, not a special hippogriff.
Fulfilling my sacred
Oh.
duty.
Actually, this hippogriff does use your... Well, actually, does it? Well, I'd like to see it in a fight, but I'm most likely going to keep you on the Pegasus because it's kind of what I went with here. It looks slightly different, maybe? At the very least, it has, yeah, but I don't know. I think you look more unique on your Pegasus there.
Honorable noble.
And also, I'm pretty sure you don't buff any of those guys. Well, actually, you just buff generically. Yeah. And we do have a lot of hippogriffs. Again, maybe I'll try them out once, but yeah. Hippogriff, Royal Pegasus for Baron Thegan. Good for Baron Thegan? Okay. And, oh, those are the guys that we confederated early. Gaspard Le Beau, you got a hippogriff. No. Much as I'd love you to be on a hippogriff, you're staying on the Royal Pegasus because, well, there are some Pegasus Knights that are with our ship armies, and thusly they're going to stay that way. And, yep, our ambush got foiled. Unfortunately, and they're close to... Oh.
Never.
We could draw out the Citadel of Blood stack. Oh, wow. Oh, that's tempting. Oh, that's really tempting. But unfortunately, as insanely tempting as that is, I think we won't have time for it this time. Yeah, ambush foiled, go figure. Corruption reduction, hello. Hello. What do we have here? Leonard, our ship army, is going to get a debut against a World Walker army, which was going towards them. Glad we found them in the middle of the ocean. Well, these two ships will not pass in the night. They're going to crash into each other. Slanashi giggle. Anyway, caravan completed. Good. And add to two stone horns. We add 1 unit of winged lancers and 1 unit of ice guard, but 2 stone horns. Okay, caravan strong. And there's that spy in court that we got as well. In fact, we should really put the spy in court on somebody. You know, you're kind of Alicia the Saracen. You've kind of been our critical recruiter for this entire campaign, and I'd like for you to have those. Like so. Anyway, with that, folks, we are definitely out of time. It looks like we have some absolutely amazing battles, some debuts as well, left for next time with our ship army, with the cannons and stuff, facing off against the Norskins, though the Femir Stalkers are going to be an issue, let's say. And we got all of this chaos nonsense running around here, which should be pretty darn fun as well. Ooh, I see more Norskins floating around out there. I guess they must have defeated Rikarth.
Negotiation.
No, he still has this one settlement where he's holding out. But at the very least, we have sighted plenty of the World Walkers. Anyway, lots more to fight clearly, so to make sure that those fights happen, don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, as they will determine how long this campaign continues to run for. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.